Well, hi everyone. It's great to have you here today. This is our fourth session in the Teach with Chrome series. We will definitely have time for Q&A at the end. So if you have questions as we go through, please drop them in the chat and I'll get them at the end of the session. And just say hi to everyone here. I see a lot of people joining us right now saying hi. So hi to all the friends from all the states and around the globe, it looks like. It's great to have you here. So we'll go ahead and start sharing our slides, and we'll get started right away. This is our Let's Get Creative with Chromebooks series as part of the Teach with Chrome workshop, and I've got a lot of different resources to share today. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Feel free to, as I mentioned, ask questions and we'll get to those in chat. I am Donna Toiber, and I'm a Google for Education certified innovator and a trainer, and also a Google for Education certified coach. I have been working in education for a while at all different levels, K through 12, as a teacher, as a tech coach, and then at the district level also with instructional technology. And I'm here today on behalf of Google for Education and Kiker Learning, and I just want to thank them for giving me the opportunity to share with you about Chromebooks. And my history with Chromebooks goes back about 10 years. Back in 2011, I was actually piloting the CR48, and then I worked with a very large implementation of Chromebooks in a one-to-one environment beginning in 2012. So it's been 10 years, and in 10 years, the things that are important are still important. Teaching and learning, creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking skills. And so today I can share with you some of the tools that have been my favorites along the way. And we'll get started by going to the Chromebook App Hub. I'd love to show you how you can find lots of apps to support you in the classroom and your teachers if you're working with other teachers in the school. And then more specifically, apps to support your students being creative in the classroom. We'll get into a number of different creativity apps that you can use, taking it from the beginning of teaching a unit to launching a project-based lesson. And then we'll follow up with some additional resources to support you. So I've got a lot of resources to share here today. And we'll get started with the Chromebook App Hub. And I will get into the Chromebook App Hub and show you how to use it, but just a couple of benefits that I wanted to share. The Chromebook App Hub, if you have not been there before, is a great place for you to find apps that will work on your Chromebooks. Apps by all different subject areas, grade levels, and beyond that, lots of great ideas. If you purchase some of these apps, if your school or district is interested in purchasing apps through a provider, then you'll be able to have these benefits of just a very easy install. But even if it's on an individual basis, these are apps that can be easily installed on your Chromebooks. There's always an app available in the Google Play Store. So there are a number of ways that you can provision those apps for your students. It has that Google single sign-on, and most of these tools are integrated with Google Drive as well as Google Classroom. And it's a much better way to manage users and licenses. I know from my experience that when students get creative, they use lots of tools, and sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming in the classroom to manage all of that. And so these are some tools that you can count on for being reliable and providing your students with a really great way to share their learning. So we'll get into some engaging lessons that you can use and some apps that support that with differentiating instruction and personalizing learning. And then we'll also look at some student project ideas to inspire collaboration and support that creative expression for project creation. I'm also very passionate about project-based learning, so I have a lot of resources here to share. So the Chromebook App Hub is a great place to get started. And of course, you can just Google Chromebook App Hub, but we'll share all of these links out after the session. When you get to the Chromebook App Hub, there is an Apps tab, and you can just scroll through and see a lot of the highlighted apps. And I will actually be showcasing some of the ones that are featured on the front page. So we'll go through Book Creator and explain everything today. But you can scroll, you can scan and see the apps that are available there, or you can even use the search at the top. There's a search, and I can search for creativity. And that's just an easy way to pull up some apps that support creativity, many of them that I'll be sharing with you today. When you do get to an app that you'd like to learn more about, or an idea, you can just click on that and go right there. The other thing that I'd like to show you is the ideas area. So another way to find lessons and units to support your teaching is to go to the idea sparks. And there are a number of different filters here. So I can filter for creativity. Maybe I'd want to pull in some critical thinking and problem solving too. And you can also further refine it by subject area. So I know we have people here teaching at all different grade levels and subject areas. And so this is a good way for you to find things that have specifically been created for your subject area. And I'll just check a few just to narrow it down a little bit. And then you also have an age range. So you can also further refine it by the age range of your students. And when you get to these sections, if you find something that you'd like to explore, there's an Explore Idea link that you can click on. So all of these lessons are for teachers by teachers. So you can see who created this lesson, and you can get an overview of how this teacher is perhaps using a tool like Prezi to teach in this content area. And scrolling down, you'll get some additional resources. So I just encourage you to take advantage of this website and to find even more apps that use that idea. So that's the Chromebook App Hub. It's a great place to get started with showcasing all of the ideas that are available to use in your classroom. And now we'll launch into some specific creativity apps, and I'll give you a little bit of an overview of the app, and then we'll go live and we'll look at those apps. And I've got several different ones to share today. One series is on kickstarting your lesson. Like, how do you use your Chromebook to teach a lesson? What are some strategies and what are some apps that can support that? And then we'll get into these level up resources where your students can be driving some of the learning in the classroom, some tools that you can create or you can allow your students to use to create different types of projects. And we have even more after that. So we'll see what we get through today. The resources that I'll be sharing are Squid, which is really great for individual students to note take, and it's great for you as a teacher to use that PDF annotation ability. And then we'll look at Explain Everything, where you can create some great explainer videos. And then we'll look at Book Creator and WeVideo and Soundtrap for students to create some amazing projects. And then we'll get into even more resources after that. So I wanted to go ahead and start with Squid. And I'm on the Squid website. This is available for your Chromebooks. It's available from the Play Store, so it can be downloaded to phones or other devices. I'll point you in the direction of just on their website. They do have under the Education tab a lot of use cases. So this is a place where you can go and find out, how can I use Squid Notes to teach math? Perhaps you want your students to be able to complete a math problem and then share that back out with you. And then maybe you want to use Squid Notes to mark up what the work that they've turned in using the annotation tools. So there are a lot of great resources on their website. I've got just a quick little video demo of me using this tool. And this is an example of maybe launching a lesson where my students are going to be learning a lot, but then they will be synthesizing all of that learning into a project. So we've done some learning, and I've got a prototyping storyboard created. I want to give that storyboard template to the students, but I don't want them just typing into the blanks. I want them to be able to draw and create and use their creativity to make the storyboard come to life prior to getting into maybe project creation. So with Squid Notes, I can upload this to Squid Notes, and then I can begin annotating. So you could share this PDF out with students. They could open it in Squid Notes. They can use all of these drawing tools, complete that storyboard, and then they can export the entire note. So I love that they're able to export it in different ways, and then they can also share it if that's necessary. So it's one tool I wanted to highlight. You'll be able to see the library of resources that they have here. Students can also use templates. So another thing that I really love is they can, of course, use their stylus, and they can open up a class notes template. So they might choose a Cornell Notes format. They might choose even a music annotation format. So they can create their own music, or they could use a planner. So any different templates here they can open up, and then they can use their tools for that. So that was just something that I wanted to showcase as a way for your students to be creative, to learn in the way that works best for them, and to be able to provide all that very easily for your students. And there is the free version. So I did want to point out that all of these do have free versions available. And you'll, of course, be able to find out what would be available if you purchased a license. The next resource I'd like to share is Explain Everything. Explain Everything also works on your Chromebook, on a number of different mobile devices. When you go to their website, you can get some great ideas. You can go to their resources tab, or get some webinars. You can go to the blog to see how teachers have been using this in the classroom. And it's great for creating explainer videos and giving your students the opportunity to collaborate in a digital whiteboard space. So it can be used with you as guiding the students through something that you've created, or students can have full collaboration rights. So I'm going to go ahead and go to just an example. If you wanted to perhaps start off a lesson with this digital whiteboard, I have a question of the day template, and I might include a template for the students to collaborate on. And you've got all of your tools. You can also join with your mic on, or mute your microphone, but what's nice is you can record your audio. So you could teach a lesson. You might teach a step-by-step process. You might want to just highlight different things because you've got a laser pointer. So there are a number of different ways you can teach with this tool. And you do have a toolbar on the left, so you can import photos, images, lots of different types of files, clip art, so that you can make this a really great lesson for your students. In this particular example, I've got this class code, which you will have for all of your classes, and you can give your students different scenarios. So they could have open collaboration with this whiteboard, or perhaps you want them to be able to follow along. So they would have access to this on their devices, but you would be guiding them through that whiteboard display that you've created. So there are different ways that you can use this to present. One other example that I included, I'll get back to my projects, is maybe a fishbone activity. So this is another example where I might walk around the class with my Chromebook, and we could perhaps guide a discussion around causes and effects, and just using the stylus and taking some notes as students contribute to a discussion. So that's another tool that I think you can use to launch lessons, to create some great explainer videos. And even better, of course, using the audio feature, you can record that and share back with students later. So that is Explain Everything. And now we'll get into a few tools to support your students and with project creation. I wanted to start with Book Creator because I think that's a really great place to get started. I'm sure many of you have used Book Creator in the classroom. Book Creator does come with one library that you have, and you have access to 40 books that you can create with this free license. So of course, when you get into the teacher dashboard, there's a lot to look at. I encourage you to go into the Discover section of the teacher dashboard. And this is where you can get some really good curriculum focused ideas. You might want to see what's available for middle school students. What are some projects that have already been created? It's really nice to give your students some exemplars also when you're assigning a project, so they can go here and they can actually see books created by other students. So that's something that you might want to just take advantage of all these resources on the website. You can also get some ideas about supercharging your lesson. Maybe you want to create content that you would share for the professional development program at your school. Maybe you want to put together a social emotional learning handbook. So you could create something with Book Creator, and you can see examples here. And then also by subject. I just continue to remind you, you've got the subject areas, because it's so good to be able to go into your own content area and see some examples of what's been created. So if you're just looking for some ideas, this is a great place to start. And then with Book Creator, we'll go back and I'll just show you how easy it is to get started. You've got the option to create a new book. So I'll click on New Book, and you can go in and just choose a shape. Let's do a comic. And then you have the option to add all types of media. So this also connects with images, so you can add images. You've got the pen and the text, and it even connects with Canva. So there are some additional ways that you can connect with this. And I'll just go into one that's already set up. This one was from a template, All About Me, so it might be something a student creates, and they would just very easily be able to go in and edit each of these placeholders. So if you wanted to create something, there are lots of templates for teachers to get started with. And it's a wonderful place to, as I said, to get ideas. And with that, I've got two more student focused apps where students can create some amazing projects. One is WeVideo, and I've been using WeVideo for many years. It's my go-to editing, cloud-based editor. I can pull the images off of Google Photos. I can pull things that I've saved in Drive. Anything that I have, I can very easily put into a project here. And just like the other tools I've showed you, there are templates to get started. So you can get some ideas. Maybe you want to have a class newsletter, a video magazine. Maybe you want to have your introduction to your classroom that you share out with parents and students. So there are some ideas for how you might use it. And then there are some back to school night showcase. So there are some nice templates available. You can very easily start with a template. And you also have that simple editor versus full featured. So if you have students who need to have something a little simpler, or just for me, I like the simple version, you can do that. Anytime you want to create something, you can just create a new video, and I'll go ahead and choose full featured video. I've imported a lot of different media clips, so it's very easy to click on that import button and import lots of different media. And then it's really just drag and drop. So maybe for this rainforest adventure video I'm creating, I'll just drop in a still image, and then I might drop in a video. And if I wanted to add some text, maybe a text overlay, I could click on text. Let's just go with a little simple overlay here. I can adjust how long that stays over my image. And then I can just go in and type in a description. And I would love to keep going with this because it's so much fun. There are also audio tracks that are here available for you. So you can just add these down to the timeline and then trim them as much as you need to. After you've created a video, you can finish up with it and you can publish it to YouTube, to Drive, or download to your computer. So lots of different options available for using WeVideo in the classroom. There's also an extension so that you could do a screencast. So that's also something that's available through WeVideo. And then for this final app for student project creation, I'd love to point out Soundtrap. So Soundtrap for Education has a full-featured studio. So if your students want to create a podcast, they can go into that studio and they can record audio tracks. They can add in background music, create their own music. And this is also really nice for related arts or perhaps a music ed teacher. You could go in and create an assignment, maybe set up a bit of a template for students to work with, and then they can go in and add their own content. Here I've got a link to a climate action podcast that I've already created. So I'll just click on that and we can go right into the studio, and you can just see that it's like a recording studio. You can add multiple tracks, so students can very easily add tracks. They can create their own music, playing a synthesizer, and they can also, of course, record their voice as a soundtrack. So here on this track, I've just got a little music, and then I have my voice for the beginning of this podcast. So that also is shareable, so students can collaborate, and I failed to mention that, but it's very easy for students to collaborate with most of these tools. So they can just invite other collaborators. And of course, then they could share that back out or use it in WeVideo for a soundtrack. So that's a lot of different apps. And I know you're going to have questions. I'm scanning through a little bit. And I do have some of the pricing information, I think. I see some questions about that. So just a couple of other things to point out, and then I'll open it up for questions. There are even more resources built into your Chromebook. Every Chromebook has a gallery app where all of your images are stored, so you can easily access images that way. Anything you download will be available in your file manager. Something you might not know about is the Canvas app. This is just a fun little app that is available on Chrome browser. It's available in your Chromebook, and your students can create a new drawing, or you can create a new one from an image. You've got some tools here. I like the chalk, and you can choose different colors. So you can go in and be very creative with all of the different drawing tools here. And then the other thing that I really like is layers. So your students can continue to add different layers. They can add a background. They can create new layers to layer things on. So your students can be creators with that. I really love that. I see some ideas here about, using it with cursive, helping your students with lots of different activities. And they can, of course, import that and save it. And then a couple of others just to point out. Canva is another project creation tool. So if you're not getting enough with what I've already shown you, Canva, you can get poster templates, infographics, lots of different types of student project designs, slide decks. So there are lots of great resources there, and lots of free features for that. I use the free version quite a lot to create a lot of different types of content. So you can be very creative with it. And then the final tool, I think I'm about right on time, is I love to point out experiments with Google. So the Google Arts and Culture Center has an experiment section, and you can go through and find a lot of really fun experiments that your students can use to create, to learn, and just to try some new things. Creativity is all about trying new things. And so painting with music is one example. So your students might really enjoy going in here and exploring some of the resources. And scanning through, I know I saw a question about Tour Creator. I wanted to do a whole session on just using maps, Tour Creator. There are so many wonderful creation tools available for your students, and you can get started with Google Arts and Culture to see more examples of how you might use this in the classroom. And with that, I think, let me just let you know what other resources I have available. So we'll share these resources out with you. Take a look at any of them, explore the Chromebook App Hub. get some ideas, and just don't be afraid to try and experiment with some of these tools. We have additional resources available. I mentioned, just get to know your Chromebooks, but Google Applied Digital Skills is another website you might take advantage of. If you don't have time to teach your students maybe how to create a wonderful all about topic of a presentation using Google Slides, you can assign lessons to them where they can learn how to do that. So using all of the Google tools. So lots of different resources. Unleashing Student Creativity is another website that's available through Google. And you can just go through and check out how a lot of these resources I've shared are being used in the classroom. And I think my time is up, and we want to have time for Q&A. So a couple of questions. I know we've got some questions here. Can you install some of these at the whole OU levels? So I'm not the best at the admin portion of it, but yes, when you're in the Chromebook App Hub, when you go to the purchasing options, you can find out how you can purchase that, and then all of the integration information will come to you with that. Squid Notes it has a free version. If you'd like additional templates, you can purchase a version. But I've been pretty successful with the free version. You are limited to the number of notes that you can create. I think with most tools, you'll have enough to get started. But if it's something that you think you'll be using quite a lot, or that your students might benefit from, then that's when you might want to look at different licensing options. And yeah, so let's see. Yes, the slide deck resources that will be shared out through the platform here, so you'll have access to that slide deck. And let's see if there are any other questions. And I see a lot of fans of the Google Arts and Culture Center. And some of, yes, so I would check into some of these do have a 30-day full trial, and then you would revert back to the freemium version. So that may be to see if it's something that would benefit the school. And in many of these, I did have some prices jotted down, or explain everything. I think $34.99 a teacher. So if you wanted full access to unlimited access, so most of these are in an affordable range, and I would just encourage you to try those free versions first, and then also go to the Chromebook App Hub and see if if maybe it's too expensive, see if there's something there that would be more reasonable that you could get started with. And with that, I think, let's see, we've covered. Yeah, I see some notes about touchscreen. Definitely great. If you've got the Chromebook touchscreens and the stylus, it's another great teaching tool. And with that, I think that we are at the end of our time together, but we're certainly happy to answer any additional questions that come our way. And I just thank you so much for being here today, and have a great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, and just embrace your inner creativity, try some things, share that with your students, and then encourage them to be creative. And I think you'll have some great results. Thank you.